emergency. That's how they have a 10-governor region, a rural affairs division under the Pentagon that Obama signed 4 months ago. All of this is lining us up for the total depression that we've already been in for a few years, but it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. And then the criminals that engineered it will grandstand. They'll implode Europe, then implode the U.S., then merge Asia, the U.S., and Europe under one giant global bank of the world. Governments will buy bonds. Citizens will have taxes levied, VAT, sales tax, carbon tax, family tax, home tax, travel tax, airline tax, literally hundreds of taxes, all to pay to the private bankers. Total control. It'll all be selectively enforced, just like the power plant taxes are. And it is just total rule by mafia with paramilitary roid heads who love to kill people. Whether they're a returning Iraq vet or a little girl, they're ready to kill. They like it. They all envy the guys on the team, who've killed some people. They all want to get a citizen bagged. It's coming. Sorry, I have to announce that to you. I mean, this is a country that rationalizes 51 dead aborted American babies and says they're not humans. All right, continuing here. The Senate last night codified into law the power of the U.S. military to indefinitely detain an American citizen with no charge, no trial, and no oversight, and in accompanying announcements, torture and kill, secretly execute. With no oversight whatsoever with the passage of S. 1867, the National Defense Authorization Act. One amendment that would have specifically blocked the measure from being used against U.S. citizens was voted down, and the bill was passed 93-7. And remember, this we were told in the PSYOP in the last few weeks, citizens aren't in it, citizens aren't in it. And finally, the media was forced to admit they were, and the senators went, okay, you are. Get used to it. And they literally got a gleam in their eye. And, man, I was watching them when they passed it last night. I was up here about 7:30 when they passed it. I sat there in the coffee room watching it. And those senators, when they were voting yay, they were saying the names as they counted down from A to Z. And when they said Rockefeller, we were taping it back there, the woman reading out the names goes, Rockefeller. And he came over and gave his vote. He just kind of did a skip and, with his hand like, woo, we won. Just, yeah, we'll get this republic one way or another. And, of course, it was his grandfather who publicly funded Hitler, mainline history, publicly funded the Kaiser Wilhelm Institute, got laws passed in 37 states to grab men and women and chop their genitals off, cut women open, cut their uteruses out. People say, well, why not just tie their tubes? They wanted to do medical experiments. Just hardcore. And they were just smiling and getting off on it and seething with evil power. And I sat there in the coffee room, drinking a pollen burst, vitamin drink. And I just sat there and I watched it with horror. And I watched their body language and I watched them shaking hands and laughing and just these old evil people just, They're because they've stolen the country. They engage in insider trading. They give themselves investments. Every crime you can imagine in your face. They're going to take the bank accounts. They've militarized everything. They're going to collapse everything. They don't care. They know for 2 years they've had a 9% approval rating, the lowest ever. 91% of people hate their guts and say they're illegitimate. And they're like, you know what we are? Northcom is standing by. And they're just, you want to hear us roar? Yeah. They're just, yeah. And they're announcing, we're going to take your kids for no reason. They're announcing, yeah, in Texas, we've got the average foster kid on 7 drugs, and over 70% now are on them. I was looking at the new numbers, it's even higher. Yeah, we take healthy kids, and 2 years later they're having convulsions. They're on so many drugs, and then we cut into their brain. And the local groups doing it get even more money the more disabled the child is. So they take healthy kids and disable them and soft kill them. And we're going to take foster kids and test pesticides on them till they die. And it's going to be a New York Daily News, and nobody's going to get in trouble. We are satanic. Blah! Just in your face. In your face, pure evil. And Rockefeller walked up and she said, she was saying the names of the senators. And when Rockefeller walked up, she was just saying them real normal, deadpan. But when he walked up, she went, Rockefeller. And I saw his little, so he had his little arm and he just did it like that. And yeah, like a victory. Like we're in, at the race car track and your favorite driver gets the checkered flag and gets the win, and you're like, yeah, just throw that fist in there. Yeah, 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 yeah. Woo, it's good. The old days, I'd actually scream, but I don't have the voice to do it anymore. I'm like an old man now. Continuing, another amendment introduced by Senate Intelligence Committee Chairman Dianne Feinstein that attempted to bar the provision from being used on American soil in an effort to ensure the military won't be roaming around the streets looking for suspected terrorists, that's a quote, also failed. So she still voted for it anyways, knowing it would fail. It was like, that's what Rick Perry does. He brings something forward. If it looks like it's going to pass, he has it killed behind the scenes. It's called having cake, eating it too. Continuing. And her idiot constituents will buy it. Feinstein was, and look for Obama to do something similar. He'll probably sign it, won't veto it now, but he'll have a signing statement saying he will deploy it. He will decide how it's used. In fact, they already did that yesterday. They had White House lawyers come out and say, we can already do this, but we control it, not Congress. As I said on Monday, this already happened a few years ago. And with the Belligerent Act, McCain previously tried to get more, where if you even criticize the government, you disappear. How dare you speak of the global crown that way? Take him away. Take him to a dungeon. In fact, off with his head. Just the total overturning of everything America is in your face by a bunch of admitted criminal bankers. Feinstein was able to include a largely symbolic amendment which states that nothing in the bill changes current law relating to the detention of U.S. citizens and legal aliens. But they've already passed laws basically saying they can do all this before. But this measure is meaningless, according to Republican Congressman Justin Amash, a fierce critic of the bill. Some have asserted that Senator Feinstein's amendment 1456 protects the right of American citizens and preserves constitutional due process. Unfortunately, it does not. It's just more cleverly worded nonsense. That's right, designed to deceive, as he said on Monday. Though the White House has threatened to veto the bill, the fact that Obama administration lawyers yesterday reaffirmed their backing for state-sponsored assassination of U.S. citizens would suggest otherwise. Well, yeah, and they said the executive decides that's why we may veto your bill, because we already have that power. They're all a bunch of out-of-control tyrants. So they're saying, this is a dangerous precedent to have the Congress be able to say you can do this because they can say you can't. We fought hard to make the president separate and not under the command of Congress. So you must rebuke this, but while claiming the power, sire. Though you are our puppet vassal, the institution is powerful and is ours, to quote the New World Order's inner heart. Not voting for the bill, or in other words, upholding the oath to protect the Constitution, has been described over and over again as political suicide. The bill puts military detention authority on steroids and makes it permanent. American citizens and others are at great risk of being locked away by the military without charge or trial, said Christopher Anders, senior legislative counsel for the American Civil Liberties Union. I already see cases where they're putting jaywalkers in jail, or a deaf person, no one can communicate with them, so they stay in jail 2 or 3 weeks. You know, it is for nothing. I'm seeing cases now where they pull you over for speeding. I saw a case 2 weeks ago for 6 miles over, and they went ahead and took the 3 kids and gave them to CPS, and then CPS found some other reason to go ahead and just keep them. Now, all the time, you eat a Twinkie or a bottled water. You saw that case? No criminal record, military family. You pay for everything, forget to pay for the bottled water and the Twinkie. And as you're going out the door, security runs over and you're like, oh, I forgot. And haven't we all done that before? I've been in the car before and gone back and paid for a bottle of water or something because the person ringing it up forgets to see it there. Or a thing of milk if my kids wanted or whatever. And they just said, nope, you're going to jail. Your kids are ours. And last time I checked, they were fighting to even get their kids from CPS. They're like, well, that's in danger that you're a criminal. Must mean you're endangering your children. We're going to go ahead and keep them. And remember, this is a government 17 times. We did research. I kept saying 5 times because I'd seen that Justice Department number, and Newsweek had reported it a long time ago in their Shame of Foster Care headline. And Watson called me and he said, you're wrong, Alex. The Justice Department's numbers are 17 times more likely to sexually abuse CPS. There is than any other group. They are the most dangerous. I mean, you're throwing your child into the most powerful concentration of child rapers and perverts you could, on record. And they are the people that take the kids, of course. And then 5 times other physical abuse. 5 times. 5 times. And then now in England and in certain areas of the U.S., they're taking children with computer programs, quackery, that say you're at risk to abuse your children. Nothing's happened. It's pre-crime. What about you then with that same logic? If you're 17 times, why does CPS have over 50% turnover every year? Because good people get in and find out it's a pedophile ring and get out. And you're like, well, they'd warn somebody. They do, and they get killed. It's a huge racket. I've interviewed state senators who exposed rackets and were murdered. Remember the lady from Georgia? Great lady? Dead. Killed. I mean, these people are running things, folks. We're going to come back. I'll give the number out. Your calls are coming up. Bunch of other news. Stay with us. Okay, we are live. We are here and on the air because of your support. We are here actually breaking down the reality of what faces our society, the true nature of the government running our country and the world. The Republicans and Democrats fight over the levers of power, but they are bought and paid for by the same interest. And the general public is still, to a great extent, locked in a debate between the controlled left and right, which is a tiny controlled reservation. We have got to get outside of that. People have got to discover that global megacorporations that are not free market have taken over the government and are using it to shut down their competition. Coming up after I take calls. Draconian EPA regulations to cause rolling blackouts. Critics attacked by White House for making connection proven accurate. And, of course, we went over the fact that the different commissions pointed out the rolling blackouts all over the country last winter were because they'd shut down a bunch of plants. And the head of the EPA said we're going to shut down massive numbers in 2011, 2012. And now it is being reported by the Austin American Statesman, you name it, that power is going to basically double in price on average in the next few years, and that you're going to have rolling blackouts because the government's shutting them down. But the Statesman says it's great. Wait till I read this. Wait till I read this later, because I want to be able to read the Statesman to hear what the general public is reading and being brainwashed with. I mean, it is incredible. They make it look like the environmentalists are trying to get people more power in this article. The average moron, I shouldn't say that, the average uninformed person in a trance reading this, the average mind control victim, shouldn't get mad at them. They are victims. God love them. It's really painful seeing our wealthy country destroyed. I have children, just like a lot of you do, and it makes me angry. And it's so criminal. It's so over the top. It'd be so easy to wake up to these people and bring them to justice. But instead, it's just going to get worse. As we told you last week, now it's official. They're going to have some stupid show congressional subpoena of Corzine about urgency. That's how they have a 10-governor region, a rural affairs division under the Pentagon that Obama signed 4 months ago. All of this is lining us up for the total depression that we've already been in for a few years, but it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. And then the criminals that engineered it will grandstand. They'll implode Europe, then implode the U.S. to indefinitely detain an American citizen with no charge, no trial, and no oversight, and an accompanying announcements to torture and kill, secretly execute. With no oversight whatsoever, with the passage of S. 1867, the National Defense Authorization Act. That's then merge Asia, the U.S., and Europe under one giant global bank of the world. Governments will buy bonds. Citizens will have taxes levied, VAT, sales tax, carbon tax, family tax, home tax, travel tax, airline tax, literally hundreds of taxes, all to pay to the private bankers. Total control. It'll all be selectively enforced, just like the power plant taxes are. And it is just total rule by mafia with paramilitary roid heads who love to kill people. Whether they're a returning Iraq vet or a little girl, they're ready to kill. They like it. They all envy the guys on the team, who've killed some people. They all want to get a citizen bagged. It's coming. Sorry, I have to announce that to you. I mean, this is a country that rationalizes 51 dead aborted American babies and says they're not humans. All right, continuing here. The Senate last night codified into law the power of the U.S. military